Will Optic be able to go back to back, or will FaZe reclaim the top spot in the CDL? How about the dark horse team for the second major of the year? That's what we're going to find out today, guys, because the major is coming up, the second major of the year in Minnesota. So it's only right I get my pick'ems out to you guys. I can't wait to see what you guys think. Before we get into the pick'ems, I need to tell y'all something. I was notified by none other than Nate, and he said if we hit 40,000 subscribers on YouTube, he'll give me a chance to come back and compete for the Los Angeles Thieves. He'll give me a tryout. OpTic Texas versus the Seattle Surge. It is the first round matchup. And look, this is just too easy. OpTic look way too strong. I don't think there is a chance that the Seattle Surge can upset them. I love the fact that Seattle made it to winners bracket after starting out very slow and honestly just being in a slump. But I don't think that they have enough in the tank, and they're not there to actually upset OpTic. New York Subliners versus the Atlanta FaZe. Now, this is a different NYSL team than we're used to, guys. Since picking up Paul X, they are 3-0. Okay, they have yet to lose a hardpoint. They're undefeated in hardpoint. And while I know that they haven't played the best teams, this is just a completely different team. Sometimes all you need is a one-person swap, okay? And it can change the whole dynamic of the team. I think the only thing that NYSL has going for them right now is they technically have the higher seed. So they will get to choose the control map, which even though they are 0-1 on Gavutu, I think that they're going to choose that. Because the Atlanta FaZe are 2-6 on Gavutu compared to Tuscan, where they are 7-2. Okay, so that is a huge, huge plus on the side of New York Subliners, but I just don't know if they're going to do it, man. I have this going 3. You know what? I'm going to go 3-2. London Royal Ravens versus the Florida Mutineers. This should be pretty damn lopsided, in my opinion, for a couple of reasons. Okay, the only good hardpoint map that the Florida Mutineers have is Bocage, and unfortunately for them, that is London Royal Ravens Auto Veto. That is not going to be in the rotation. And then when we talk about S&D, London's clearly the better S&D team, but the only map that Florida is good at currently statistically is Berlin S&D. And once again, London Royal Ravens does not like that map. So that map will be gone from the rotation as well. And it's basically a heavy advantage for London on every other map. So I'm not favoring them in those situations either. And just to put the dagger in this first round matchup, London is the higher seed, so they get to choose the control. And since London are the higher seed and they get to pick the control, it just takes away any real opportunity for Florida to upset them. Because while London is 1-3 on Tuscan, they're 7-3 on Gavutu. And fortunately for them, it's the opposite for Florida. They're good at Tuscan, they're not good at Gavutu. So I'll be honest, I see this going 3-0. And we have Boston Breach versus the Los Angeles Guerrillas. Now, the Guerrillas are playing with Spart because gunless. He has like stomach ulcers, I saw. I hope my man Big P gets better. But so he's not going to be able to play at all in this tournament. So that's going to hurt LAG. Because while both teams with gunless in the lineup are pretty lackluster in control, Boston has been the better hardpoint and S&D team. And LAG just simply don't have enough time. They don't have enough time to really play with Spart and get some sort of solid foundation with him, because him and Gunless are two completely different players. Boston has proven time and time again, though, that they can consistently beat the teams below them. So I'm not worried about this matchup. I'm worried about their next matchup and matchups that they'll have in the future against the top dogs in Vanguard right now. I'm going to say Boston win this 3-1. I think LAG might sneak a map out. But at the same time, I mean, this could be a 3-0 realistically. Now to losers round 1, we have Seattle Surge versus the Minnesota Rokkr. Luckily for Minnesota, Seattle Surge isn't that great of a hardpoint team because Minnesota is they're probably like the second worst hardpoint team in the game right now behind Toronto Ultra. But Seattle's not much better. And the one time these two teams did match up, it was in the Major 1 qualifiers where Seattle did win the series. Although it was a close one, it was a 3-2 series. I mean, it's Minnesota's home event, right? How could you not have them just not be there? But unfortunately, I think Seattle is just going to come out. I think they're going to win the series 3-1. They have looked better than Minnesota as of late. And Minnesota, they rely so much on 2-3-5. I don't know if that's going to work versus a team like Seattle Surge. And it sucks, man. Minnesota, unfortunately, you are out in the first round. Here's a series that most of y'all have probably been waiting for me to predict on, because it is the NYSL versus the Los Angeles Thieves. And this is a very tough matchup. Okay, this is a very tough matchup for LAT. They're in losers bracket. They have to play perfect if they want to make any sort of run. I understand that. And damn, I just don't know where I can see LAT really having an advantage. I hope that they can make some sort of miraculous run, but I just don't know if it's going to happen, man. I'm going to say NYSL is going to win this series 3-2. And hopefully if I stop picking LAT to win, maybe they'll start winning. Maybe I'm like the bad luck charm or something. Then we have the Florida Mutineers versus the Paris Legion. To be honest, Paris has been pretty damn competitive in the Major 2 qualifiers. Now, I know they only went 1-4, and besides the first series where they lost to LAG 3-0, they have lost to Minnesota 3-2, London 3-2, New York 3-1, and they beat Toronto 3-2. Jimbo has been playing a lot better than his first couple series in the CDL. And this Florida team, I am just not high on. In fact, I am probably the lowest that you can be on any team right now. But at the same time, Florida has a very high ceiling. But I think we're going to see, I think this would be, I don't know, this would be an upset, right? I mean, Paris is starting in the losers bracket. Florida is in they're going to be starting the tournament in the winners bracket. I'm going to hope that Paris win this series 3-2. I just have zero confidence in Florida Mutineers. Now, I will say this. Florida probably has more talent on their team than Paris. And I think that if they're on, they could actually make a pretty decent run. Like this Paris Legion matchup is probably the best matchup that they could have asked for in the losers bracket early. But I got to have an upset. You know there's going to be an upset somewhere. So I have to have one, and that is a good one for me. Los Angeles Guerrillas versus Toronto Ultra. We're talking about the worst hardpoint team in the game, and they're going up against an LAG team without Gunless. This is tough, but unfortunately, I got LAG short and simple 3-2. Gunless is very impactful, and he is one of the biggest reasons why LAG is as good as they are. Not even talking about stats, KD, anything. He is a very impactful player on the map. He's a great teammate. He's grown a lot when it comes to that. I have a feeling that we might get a volume 2 of the first major where Toronto, they just they win their 2-3-5s, man, and they make kind of a decent run in the losers bracket. The rematch everyone is waiting for, okay? The two best teams in the game, unfortunately, because FaZe kind of fell, they're matching up early in winners round 2. And this is going to be tough for the rest of the teams because one of these guys is going to fall to loser bracket early. And I think it doesn't matter who it is, they're going to make a run. They're going to make a run again, similarly to how Atlanta FaZe did it in the first major. I don't know. I have to stick with OpTic here. I'm going to say 3-1. I think this has game 5 written all over it. But until FaZe beat OpTic, I have to go in OpTic's favor. London Royal Ravens versus the Boston Breach. This is going to be a tough one for Boston. Like I said, I think that they've been a great team. They're a team that they will consistently beat all the teams below them. But I just don't know if they have enough to truly take on the top dogs. Seattle Surge versus the New York Subliners. I got NYSL making a run. I said it on reverse sweep. If you guys haven't watched it, you can go look. I just think NYSL, they're going to make a decent run here. I truly do. It's the honeymoon period, man. It works wonders. You guys would be surprised how sometimes when you make a switch and the vibes are right, how much it changes a team's dynamic, overall mood, and their success. Okay. NYSL is going on a loser's run. Paris Legion versus the Toronto Ultra. I do have Toronto winning this series. Like I said, I think Toronto, they're going to get a couple rounds, even with their hardpoint struggles. And that means we have Boston Breach versus the New York Subliners in losing round 3. And we have Atlanta FaZe versus Toronto Ultra. And I got NYSL, baby. I told y'all they're making a deep run. I think they start rolling through teams. Could be very overconfident in them, but this is my upset. This is my dark horse team of this major. Like, they have everything going right for them right now. I'm excited to see what they do. Unfortunately for Boston Breach, I just think they get kind of caught off guard by NYSL, and they run into some adversity. But I do have NYSL making it to lose round 4, and they're going to be joined by FaZe. FaZe, I think, is just going to mop the floor with Toronto. FaZe is too well-rounded. They're too strong, especially when it comes to the hard points. It's looking tough for Toronto. They need to fix out hardpoint if they want any chance of being a legit contender this year. Losers round 4, the Subliners versus Atlanta FaZe. I think I said it in reverse sweep. It was a mistype by me. I think I said I had NYSL being the dark horse, getting top 3. What I really meant was top 4, though, because I do think FaZe is going to prove too much again. They matched up earlier in the tournament, and I think NYSL is just not going to be able to get revenge here. So that means Atlanta FaZe is going to be waiting in the losers bracket finals. OpTic Texas versus the London Royal Ravens. I don't see an upset happening. I'll be honest. I have a 3. I'll say it's going to be close. So just for context, when I put like 3-2, I don't necessarily mean that I think it's going to go game 5. I know that sounds so dumb, but I just mean I think it's going to be a very close series. So it's like, even if it's a 3-1, for example, I could see like both hard points going 250, 240. You know what I'm saying? So I think this is going to be a very competitive series. OpTic, though, they're the favorites, man. They're the favorites for a reason. They're on a fucking win streak and a half. They've just been dominant. Gotta feel confident. They're hungry to go back to back. So that means we're gonna have London Royal Ravens versus the Atlanta FaZe. This is gonna be similar to how it was last major. And it's tough because we saw Atlanta FaZe play London at Major 1. They should have 3-0'd them. They choked in S&D. They won the series 3-1. And then they also did beat London 3-1 in the qualifiers for the second major. But it's like, as of late, Atlanta FaZe has only really looked good in hardpoint, okay? Their S&D and their control has not been up to normal FaZe standards. I just think, fuck it. I think we're going to have a rematch, guys. I think we're going to have a repeat of the top 3 from the first and the second major. Even though I feel like that rarely ever happens, so it's probably not. But there's a first time for everything, right? I have Atlanta FaZe winning this series. It's going to be close. I just don't know. London didn't look like they could really compete with Atlanta FaZe at the first major. I know Gizmo was not feeling well. Hopefully he's back in full form. But I have to go this way. I still think Atlanta FaZe and OpTic are the 2 best teams in the game. Even though Atlanta FaZe hasn't been as dominant lately, I think these are going to be the 2 teams in the finals. And then once we get to the finals, guys, the moment that you have all been waiting for, I do have OpTic Texas going back-to-back. Now, it's not going to be a 5-0. I think it's going to be very close. I have a 5-3 in the best of 9. But man, OpTic are feeling good. I know exactly how they feel right now. I've been there as a competitor. Okay, I truly have. AW FaZe, look it up. I just think they're firing on all cylinders, and that's going to be hard to stop for any team, even a team as dominant as the Atlanta FaZe. We're going to have a repeat. OpTic go back-to-back. Atlanta FaZe get second. London get third. I appreciate the love. These are my pick'ems, and I'm feeling them.